Alright, welcome back. We're actually going to start on the user widget right now. Still haven't finished the weight painting or anything or fixed that, but some days you just don't feel like doing the stuff that is the most glaring elephant in the room because it's kind of tedious or boring or whatever. Simple object builder. This is interesting. Not sure where this opened up from or anything. I think I probably double clicked one of these guys or something, but yeah. Alright, so I'm going to need to move those assets that I imported from Mage Hunter into a place over here. We'll put it in the character assets. We're going to make a new folder. We'll just call it player UI. Easy enough. All right, we're going to create a widget. User interface, widget blueprint. We'll name it W for widget. I can't even think of what the normal thing is for that, but I'll remember that. And then just player UI. And then I'm going to find, I think this was all the stuff. Yep, there's an empty widget there. Let's close all this down. Industrial pad, third person blueprint. I do think that's where it was supposed to be, but I don't see it there. Some of these folders are now empty and useless. Is it under collections? Yeah, here it is. And what we're going to do is actually drop this down, and it's under character assets, player UI. We're going to move that in there just to make sure we keep it all nice and organized. And then I'll need the character blueprint and the other stuff open. All right, so blueprints, character logic, and this can actually go into the base character you're playing with, because if I make anybody off this ALS base, you know what? Nope. Over here, we're going to do event begin play. Make sure there isn't one somewhere hidden. I'm pretty positive there's not. All right, yeah, there's not. Okay, I can jump between multiple ones and have the stamina and stuff in the base character, which would mean any NPCs would still suffer stamina loss and everything, and just create the widget here. That actually sounds the best, to be honest, for what I want to do. Begin play, and then you want the parent stuff in here first. Should be a parent thing in there. Or it's just the parent event tick. Okay, there's not actually a node for this one. Unlike event tick, there's actually a, get over to that event tick, parent tick, and it'll tick everything inside the parent for sure. Event begin play. What we're going to do here is actually come out here and create widget. This widget is going to be the W underscore, looks like I was right on those, player UI. The owning player is going to be just self, so no change there. Turn value, we're going to promote this to a variable. that being so weird. Promote the variable. Actually, you know what? Let's we'll move that out first. We'll add it to the viewport and then promote it to the variable. So the one in the viewport is for sure it should be the same, but that way we know to add the viewport. That'll actually put it on the screen. And okay, no, it stays the same. All right. If you change that Z order in the drop down, it'll put it on top of the other ones or whatever. But we have it set as a variable. We'll name this just the player UI. And eventually I'm probably going to have some drop downs and stuff in that whenever I go play with them inside the widget stuff. But for now, just short, simple right there. So we got this character of that you're actually playing open here. And then we're going to open up the base character also, because I'm going to do work inside of him. Her. It's an it. It doesn't have a thing, and it's not a real person. It's actually a little cube. So it. Oh man. Inside of blueprints, character system, logic, interfaces, character assets. There we go. Player UI. All right, we're gonna open up the player UI. All right, we're gonna compile it and save it. There's nothing going on here right now, but that's the gist of that. All right, we got our canvas panel and everything. The very first thing I'm gonna add is an image, because this one is pretty quick and easy to add. And I'm gonna want it down here in this corner. You're gonna get this little flower up here, and this actually tells you where it's anchored to. And so we will put it in this bottom right corner. And so everything will calculate off this bottom right corner instead of anywhere else. Because if you do it top left and like move it to the bottom right and our screen resolution is different, you can shove it off the screen. But this will calculate it based off this bottom right corner. We go in here to the brush, and I'm actually going to pick, I got materials in here I don't need and stuff. But we'll open the UI images right here so that I can do stuff like the new buttons right here. Nothing special, just little rounds like circular choice here, but we'll hit that. And then we're going to stretch this up and out. For good user experience, there's a minimum like space you want off the side and stuff. I'm probably going to go a little more than that because phones like mine have the rounded glass, which makes that really hard to hit. And then also my phone case gets rid of that rounded glass by rounding back up, and so there's a lip right there that makes it even harder. But you can see this is translucent. I made the inside of the buttons a little darker, and I should have zoomed out before I just stretched that out into infinity, not knowing exactly how big I was making it. So we'll get this down to like this size. And when I actually made the image, I tried to use some best practices of getting it off the edge and everything, so you can get it pretty close to the edge. But I really need this in a much, well, that was a fail. I need this blue area centered and zoomed in so I can actually see it like a phone screen here. You can actually change like the scales on this stuff and everything to actually get a pretty good like phone ratio and stuff. Like you can pick pretty common devices and stuff. Phones, here we go. What Google Pixel 3. Pixels are Google's flagship phones. There are a lot of things to get development on and everything to get some of the first releases, so it's probably a reasonable device to actually set the stuff up onto. Not everybody has a Pixel, but 1440 by 720 18:9 ratio. I don't know whether to just call those a 2:1 ratio, but so we got that right there. Alright, and that's just where the buttons will be. I do want them a little bit below the halfway part because we're actually going to add some more images right here. This one will be anchored to the middle. Grab this middle, get it down here at the middle. You can see over here you've actually got the little spots and everything that show you where you're doing. Alright, and then there'll be another one over here on the right side. And we're going to anchor this one. Whoops. I've never played with those. I know it has something to do with some aspect ratio stuff, but I'm sure more advanced UI stuff actually matters. Alright, so this one, we're going to, let's close this. We're going to open up the content browser, and it's been so long since I made these and stuff, I can't remember the name. Lock cycle. And okay, that's right, it's lock cycle on both of them. Since you're going to have a lock on, you actually have to have some way to cycle through your lock-ons. And so I put them up here in the middle of the screen, one on each side. I use a little cycle button, or cycle arrow, to just let you know that that's what it's for, over a lock. It's not the prettiest thing, but it works. You can tell what it is. And, yep. Anyways, actually on this one, what we want to do is duplicate this, and then we're going to delete this one. But now it's the same size and everything. We'll come over here, bring it off the edge a little bit, boom, and then we'll move its thing over here so that it's done off the right side of the screen instead of the left. And we've got those there. Alright, and then I'm going to hit the tint on this. We're going to drop these to yellow just because it feels good. But something about the lock buttons up there like that, I just like them being yellow. Copy, hit this one, yellow. Alright, let me actually flip that around like that so that it's now a mirror image. And yeah, you can do it up here with the size and stuff. Just change it to a negative number, which is probably the better way to do that so that it stays size Y. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry, X. I promise. I promise I made it through middle school math. There we go. But now, of course, I have to slide it over a little bit more. I want to be pretty even and stuff, so we'll come over here and hit this, and we'll get the Y position again because I moved it up and stuff. Control C, Y position, since it's done off the middle, will still be usable. If you try to do the X position and put the same number in, it'll give you something different. But there you go, you got your two lock buttons like that. And what we're actually going to have with those is default and visible. So you'll go down. It took me so long to get that centered and zoomed in on the screen. But yeah, we will go here, and we will hit this, and we will say hidden. We'll grab this one, and we'll say hidden. Alright, and the buttons down here get a little annoying, but we'll get them in there. Alright. I'm just going to compile that real fast. On these guys, you actually come up here and is variable. Just make sure they're variables. And we're going to need quite a few images, actually. We're going to need an image right here. This one will be bottom right. And then we'll need an image right here. And since it's all going to be based off of this little circle thing that we're using here, it obviously all bottom right. bottom right. Bottom right. And we'll go in here and fill them in just a second. Sorry, I'm using the wrong thing right now. So anyways, you want this button. Okay, and on the button, you want to do the stuff, not the actual image. You can actually go in here and change the lock cycle. We're gonna have to change all these real fast. It's not horrible, but uh, same issues. Yellow. You can make images, like hit testable and stuff and get them, but a button's a button. It's just easier. Uh, they also have things like hovered and pressed and stuff, so you can make them actually change colors when you press them, and without having to add all the extra stuff in. They're just basically partially pre-coded images that have been excessively coded. Okay, so we'll duplicate that one. Let's get rid of all those images because not smart. No, it's easy to forget stuff. Never be afraid to go look it up or double check or anything. There's a lot to know. I'm betting a lot of game developers do keep those big coding books and stuff sitting around that they've read at some point and learned from, and probably check it occasionally. Like, what the heck was the name of that function that's already programmed in that we never use that I happen to need this one time because the person demands we do this random thing? Okay, so now that we're almost set back up, wish I could get this ratio to be decent for me. There we go. Now if I can just not move it again. All right. And I just moved the thing for the wrong one, of course. All right. Size. We're going to go ahead and flip this thing before I even move it over there. And then we're going to move its little anchor point over here. Flip this button. That image should let it flip just fine. Oh, that's annoying. But I also just don't feel like dealing with that exactly right now. We'll flip it here in a bit. If I have to, I'll make a flip of the image. It's not huge, but saw that it worked with the regular image. Then with the button, it's all distorted for some reason. That's definitely weird. But we'll just have a left lock cycle over here on the right side for now. And that way we can just keep some progress going so you don't have one of the videos where I'm just sitting here going and poking at something for an hour. Okay, so that's in place now. And then we'll do the buttons, and I'll put one button down this time. Right here in this middle. Anchor it to the right. Bottom right. Same as with the little button layout. And then we're going to duplicate that one 4 times. Duplicate, duplicate, yep. Duplicate. That way I don't have to set the anchor every time, and especially since this thing is being so jerky. Oh, we get them all in there. All right. Okay, so there's your little buttons. Got them all placed and everything. But now we'll come in here and like this big button is actually going to be an action button overall. Right now it'll be new fire button. This was made for Mage Hunter, so it's a big bullet button. I'll eventually do some stuff where you won't just have a big bullet button here. We'll have like dialogue buttons, stuff like that. But for now, you just have this bullet, and I designed these kind of on purpose for some of them to kind of overlap that UI like that. Go back here, grab this, give this a Z order of 1, which will put it on top of the other ones. And so you just got the stuff coming out underneath instead of on top. It's just a preference right there. Some people are probably going to want it on top. Get real fancy, make it come on bottom and top, but you can't do that with just the Z order. This right here, which is now much harder to click because of the other thing being on top. Okay, hang on. Let's name these buttons. Okay, this is the, we'll call this the button grid. It's not really a grid, but I understand what it's there for. Button frame. We'll call it button frame. It frames all the buttons. Button frame. Alright, this button is cycle left. This button cycle right. That'll make it easier whenever we go over there and get in the graph and stuff. Which we won't have most of that stuff right now, but we'll have all this stuff right here. This is going to be a jump button. We've got a whole bunch of buttons here that we got to do different stuff for. This bottom left one down here will be our dodge button. Up next to the jump button is probably going to be sprint. They're next to each other, so you can be sprinting, move to jump real easy. Dodge being on the opposite side is a little rougher, but it's there. It's you'll have it. You don't have to be sprinting to dodge, but you might want to make a running jump, and it's a lot more significant. All right, right above the dodge, we'll probably make that one the like reload button. And to be honest, I can't even remember what all these buttons are. Okay, and then this middle button, that's right. This is brake lock. Yeah, this is the fire button. That way you can turn off your locking auto aim stuff whenever you get to it. So we got a reload button right there. Boom. We're gonna grab these, and they're just not the best images, which is why I'm definitely willing to give them away free. They might save somebody some time, just being a little better than the skipping over the phase where I was just using paint.net to make blue circles with bevels on them and stuff. Oh, I bet that zoom I just attempted happens in like 5 minutes whenever I'm doing something else. Alright, so there's a reload button. Reload. I just always feel like it should probably have some kind of warning color on it, because it's probably going to pop up whenever you're low on ammo, or flash whenever you're low on ammo. Probably set it to like a green. Like that. We'll set it to a green, and whenever things actually empty, we can make it flash an orange later. That way it'll draw your attention to it if you're not already looking at it. But whenever you fired one shot or whatever, it's not an issue, it'll be green. We might actually, as your ammo fades out, we'll fade it between green and orange, and then make it flash whenever you're actually totally empty. Just a nice little UI experience right there. It's just going to be a lerp node based on a percentage that you'll shove in based on how much ammo is in your magazine or clip. Jump. Get the jump. There we go. And then this will be the jump button. Okay. We're actually going to put this fire button back down on the Z order 0 for right now because it's just easier to click and move this stuff than it is to actually fight with this right now. Alright, so we got a jump button. We got it pretty centered in there, about the right size. This was the sprint button. Sprint button. On these buttons and stuff, you can actually go down here and they have bindings, which if you're not doing a lot, use these bindings for like to bind the visibility to a variable if this variable is higher than this, but it's basically the same as running it on event tick. And as you can see, we got a whole bunch of buttons here, and we're going to be doing mobile, so we're not going to do that. We're going to create functions that are called at certain events, and when those are called, it'll set their visibility. And that way it's actually empty and you can see through it and have screen space whenever you're not using the buttons. It's not make or break kind of thing, but it is a better user experience in my opinion, and it will also affect, especially if you got a whole bunch of complex buttons. Like I have some overlaid buttons that'll be here and everything. Like the swim button will be its own button underneath some of these other buttons that appear whenever you're swimming instead. I could change the image and do a whole branch for like the function and stuff, but I just found it easier to set up a separate button. Here's my dodge button. There we go. Alright, and then brake lock. I'm not going to worry too much about coloring all these right now. We'll come up with colors for them, like this fire button. We'll probably have a red tint. And to be honest, that red tint on it looks crappy. Makes it look like I started just scribbling the whole thing in paint, just completely. Looks a little different whenever it's white. It's still not the highest grade vector images or whatever, but it's a little nicer looking, I think, because white. More isn't always more. Sometimes less really is more. That's an important lesson. Okay, this lock, it looks like I might actually not even have a vector image here. It looks like I have an image that, okay, it just is horribly, oh no, it does not keep its stuff. So we'll probably actually have to go back and like remake that in something so that it doesn't look that ugly. Because it does not scale over well whatsoever. I'll probably just use something online that automatically convert it for me. Alright, so let's Z-order that back up to the top. See, it kind of faded out the buttons and stuff because inside those circles I actually do have just a darker transparency. Being in the UI and stuff, this image I actually sacrificed having a transparency in. Whenever you compress it in Unreal Engine, it's not gonna actually compress that one file, but it's a like 128 by 128 single PNG. It's not going to be what breaks somebody's phone's memory, probably. It's going to be the 600 apps that I have on there. Okay. So all of these people should be variables. All right, so we actually go in here now, and we're going to change all their visibilities. Hovered, pressed, you can actually make them change color when you're pressed. Whenever you hover over them, which is significantly harder in a mobile game because you don't have a mouse, but if you got a little stylus. And then, of course, some of the stuff with controller pads and everything, but all right, visibility, we set it to hidden. I'm going to do that with each one of these. Trying to think if I can actually get all these. Visibility, multiple value, yeah, and then if I just set them all to hidden, there we go. They'll all be hidden now in game. Let's just hit play real fast and watch how that actually looks on this screen. And see, there you go. I'll get rid of that debug stuff from the advanced locomotion system over there, and probably today it just delete it out. But you can see that it's got the buttons on there. You can't see any of the other buttons because they're all hidden. There's no actions right now. But we're going to start setting some of those up real soon. All right. Access none, trying to read property movement curve, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I've got all sorts of broken stuff. Ground fiction. Oh, yeah. We're going to have to do some fixing on that later. All right, so probably Unreal Editor or launcher. I can close all those things. I just minimize those things. Oh, there. All right, we're going to go over to the graph. And first things we're going to do is actually create functions. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is add a variable. And I'm going to name it player character. And this will be an object reference. To the AOS base AOS base character blueprint object reference. And we're going to expose it on spawn. And then let's go back over here to the AOS base character blueprint. It's going to be the AOS Animan character, which is the one here. And we're going to compile this. Expose on spawn, mark editable. Oh yeah. Instance editable. Replication none. Replication has to do with multiplayer stuff. This is kind of stuff that you actually need to set up also when you're doing that, just so that whenever you create stuff, it knows that this one belongs to this person. Makes it a lot easier to keep track of them and everything too. Alright, so now whenever I come over here and I actually do this and recompile this, I should get a Ooh, creating that should have gave me the. Is that spawns it? I should. Okay, there it is. See over here where I created the UI widget? It says owning player. Ooh, getting all sorts of frozen up here. But I actually want to pass in the player character, which it should be. Let's make sure it's all. Suppose on spawn. Okay. Think construct. Let's grab this out here. Set player character. What I need. Hopefully editable. It's expose on spawn, which whenever I spawn this, it should actually give me the little player character node. And that way, anytime I'm referencing the player character, it'll always reset, and I can just use this variable. But okay, so we've got it compiled, we've got it saved. Let's go back over to this main character guy. There he goes. There he goes. There we go. Boom. And then of course it'll be a reference to self. Like you can already do the owner player and everything, but this way I just have my variable. It's there. When you start adding inventory systems and stuff, you start doing this between the different ones so that they just pass back and forth and they all know exactly who each other is, kind of thing. And you don't have to sit there and be like, cast to this, and it's just whatever actually created the very first thing, which is when the character loads in, then begins play, creates the widget, and stores it. And then if I do like an inventory thing, it'll probably be here, but I'll probably actually just save the variables since I'm not planning on doing the full inventory, just healing item. Or two, we'll probably save it over there. Get reference to self. There we go, just to make sure it's plugged in. So this person is now the player character in the other one. Okay. All right, and then anywhere in this that I need to set something up, I have the player UI now. All right. God, this is getting horrible. Like half these videos are just me having sluggish mouses and it trying to save and crashes. Okay, so we come over here, and then get off that variable. I need buttons. All right. We're actually going to go in here and make some functions. I'm going to make this function set health. Come on. Oh my god. I can't just highlight the whole line of text now. Okay. Set health. We're not going to do anything right now. I'm just going to get all these people actually just saved up. In here, we got set health. We're going to make another one. New function. Set stamina. Set stamina. I don't know where these unrecognized tabs are coming from either. My blueprint, unrecognized tab. Something with me clicking, it's just not handling it very well. It keeps opening it every time I create a new function. Like, Okay, and it's like the same blueprints that for the outline of stuff. All right, so we got set stamina, um, and then pretty much for each one, we're going to do a visibility. So we're going to do update lock visibility, which will actually cover all three of those buttons. And really, I could like make one that had a like a switch on enum or a switch on int or anything like that inside of it to actually control which one it would change. But over in the player blueprints, I want to be able to pull these up at the like specific time. Like when you're jumping, you can't jump again, so it'll turn off the jump button until it updates it again. And that just makes, instead of having to get one and then plug in which whatever I'm working on, I could actually make one and do a whole bunch of bools inside of it that were exposed on spawn and like click which one's supposed to update. I could update them all, but then it's a little more code intensive, so just simple functions over here. Feels the best. I'm sure somebody with some real programming experience would be like, well, this way is more efficient. Okay, so we've updated health, stamina, locked visibility, update fire button. Update dodge button. And then from here, we're probably actually just going to go and put stuff in. For now, all right. Update dodge. Because after I show you how to do a few of these, it's not going to be a huge issue for anything. All right, so we got those functions right now. We're going to go and we're going to switch back to the designer button. And my world is, we're going to go for the dodge button right now. Because it's going to be just one of the easier ones to do. So I want the regular, I think, graph. And if you scroll down, it has unclicked and it has an on pressed. They can respond differently. Like on pressed is supposed to be for like mobile touches and stuff, but it just does not work real well for some reason. It still wants unclicked. But there you go, unclick dodge, and we're getting stuck here. Player character, drag him off. And right now, it's actually the crouch button. Oh yeah, I need a crouch button in there. Let's go ahead and get the crouch button in there. Alright, this dodge button, I'm going to duplicate it. We're going to copy the positions of uh, the dodge, and let's rename this one crouch. The crouch animation in there, or an image, crouch button. It's another one that looks broken. Let's move this up here where I can kind of work on it. Because that's where I was. Alright, so we're just going to use these sliders instead, since they're handy dandy right now. Move it down. We put that. And you see it starts looking pretty ugly in here, but oh, instead of drawing as a box, you can actually change all these to draw as an image, and they will look a little better in the final like stuff. To be honest, I can't remember what the difference was, but and we just got all super glitchy as I tried to do it to all of them at once.
Yeah, you might have to redo some stuff in a second if you don't catch up and we stay stuck here.
Okay, no. Alright. Let's do a save all real fast. Draw as image. There you go. See, they're just kind of cleaned up now. That fixed the lock button and stuff because they're not being drawn as box. That was the problem. Fixed it later, like I told you I would. Break lock. Yes, I just used a lock as the thing. If you notice, looking closely, it is unlocked though, so it was a perfect image. All right, so we got that in there. And we'll go back to this graph real fast. And we will make one more function real fast for the crouch visibility. Update crouch. All right, and the main reason I do these functions is so I can just plug them in over in the ALS character instead of actually having to be like item button plug in, like, and I can actually set some variables in here to just check it every time that I want to call it, so I can just plug it in and it'll know. All right, so let's get into the event graph real fast. Unclick dodge. I'm gonna have to actually do something with that over in the ALS real fast and make like a custom event. But we actually go down here and find our crouch button. We'll start with it. Should be easy enough. Unclicked, and then we pull the player character. It's just been kind about me dragging it off. And then there's an input action over there, crouch. What exactly is it named over that one? I might have to change this to the character up above the ALS. No, it's the ALS-based character. There should be an input graph. Yep. Input action, select aim, stance. Set the stance. Come on. Not the stance. I hate when it does this. For some reason, the thing to move it sometimes becomes the thing to scroll it. On event start crouch. What is this? All right. That isn't what I need. I need to be over there in the input graph. Which is a smaller graph, but it won't let me actually look through it for some reason. The other one was letting me scroll just fine. Update character, delete this. Is custom movement. We can close this one. Just have a few less things open in here. Probably not going to help. I'm probably due for a restart now. Nope, I just still can't move this window. Alright. Alright, character logic. Base character. See if it'll let me move around in there now. I might have to actually replace some of these input actions with custom events, or at least place a custom event that also feeds into them. I'll probably leave those and just add a custom event because I don't think it lets me call the input actions from somewhere else. Didn't even. Okay, so we can't do this right now because I can't move on this graph. Freaking serious? The controls just changed. Okay, so that's my middle mouse wheel now, and my right mouse now moves me around. Alright, that makes perfect sense. Aim action is nothing aim action. But we go and find camera action. Camera action for aiming, I'll actually set it up whenever you hit the lock on stuff that it'll automatically enter into this. And I'll add a whole bunch of logic back to that and stuff whenever we get there, so that it'll actually zoom in, stop your head pivot, pull up the weapon, and go into that position. You'll basically be looking over the weapon, and you'll use the quick cycles, and you'll go into the slow walk mode, and it'll just be all very functional that way. Press walk, toggle walking, forward stance action, uh, grounded, standing, crouching. It's over where it is. Okay, switch on AOS, stance, roll event. Okay, yeah. Alright, so we're going to do a custom event. Right here, and we'll name this one Dodge, or Start Dodge. A lot of this stuff I'm not going to remove that goes off and does all the other stuff. Because like the multi-tap input and stuff, it leaves computer controls in there for me to play test with. And then also, why not? I mean, if it's already set up, it's not as pretty as everything, but there's no reason I shouldn't just let you go ahead and play it on computer. You have your whole like movement stance change here and everything, but so we call a roll event whenever we dodge. And over there in the dodge visibility, since it'll be invisible, I won't have to actually worry about doing this check right here, the multi-press and everything. It'll just be a single press. And I'll probably end up basing it on speed of the character's movement. Got to kind of slow down to actually crouch. And then we'll make a start crouch, or crouch button. Crouch button, be fine, but custom. Add custom event. It'll be crouch button. That leaves all the other controls intact. We'll go ahead and have it do its whole check just in case, because it's just one little quick check to see if you're grounded or in the air or anything like that. And it actually does a break fall check. So all that stuff's now in there. We'll get the UI back open. Character assets, the UI. And setting up the actual interaction of the button, super easy. Player character, that's the crouch button. Zoom off, crouch button. Call function, crouch button. So now whenever you press the crouch button, it'll send off to the player and get that custom event, and they'll crouch. I'm going to move this a little closer and start dodge. So those two buttons are set up like that. I can make all sorts of functions, event tick and stuff to like check all the buttons. Some of them over in Mage Hunter were set on bindings forever, and it was so sluggish. When changed them all, and then I would have some weird things, and there's like one of them that has to be on event tick for some reason. Something in my logic, it's still just stuck there. If I take it off of event tick, it just stays there constantly. I'll figure it out. Just haven't ever got around to it. It was kind of low priority with all my other hopes and dreams. Alright, so that's how you do those right there. But making the start dodge stuff, or update dodge, we'll go and find that function. Update dodge. Alright, and we'll actually add some inputs to that. That's going to be forward vector. So we'll get a vector, and we'll get speed. I think this is what I want. Because we'll just make sure that you're moving a certain amount of speed between dodge and the crouch. So you just slow down a little bit to be able to crouch, and if you're like got the controller full over or you're sprinting, it'll give you the dodge button. And it actually, over in the ALS, if we check the movement system, let me pull this movement state structure out real fast and break it and see. Movement data. They've moved it around a little bit, but somewhere in here there's going to be a forward vector that's going to just basically tell you the speed the whole time. And that's what we want, and we just want to put it over, say, 30% or so. So it'll just be a quick check to get it in there. And then we'll have to actually place it somewhere. On the movement stuff works, but it's going to constantly check it in while you're moving. Not too bad for that stuff, actually about right for that stuff. And then crouch, you just make it if the other one is, if dodge is returning false, crouch returns true. Let's break this structure and see what I always got in this one. Movement data, velocity, direction. It's a movement setting structure. He's got a lot of stuff in this thing. Split structure. Standing, crouching, direction. Direction standing. Let's split that again. And he's got the movement data, velocity, direction, standing walk speed, standing run speed, and standing sprint speed. Get that variable, let's go. And there's just no regular plain variables in here anywhere. Components, cancel time, references, input, look left, right, desired rotation mode, desired gate, desired stance. Here we go, speed. You've just got a plain old speed float, so I can actually change that to float instead of a velocity or a vector. So we'll just change that to float. Speed. Um, I'm probably gonna have to actually check it a few times to see exactly how he's got it set up, because he's probably using a -1-to-1 scale and stuff, but I can't tell you for sure. It might actually be the actual speed value that's over there, max character speed. But since it's probably for the animations and stuff, it's probably a -1-to-1. So update dodge. I have a branch. We'll pull off this little speed input. Speed. Um, if it's greater than, actually absolute value. That way, if he does have the -1s, we just have it already taken care of. Like, I don't have to go, if it's greater than this or less than this, it just turns them all into a positive number, absolute value of it, and checks it. And we're going to make it, it's greater than, we're just going to try 0.3 for now. Hopefully that speed is set up the way I think it is. If it is, this will be just fine. If not, we'll have to go and test out the numbers and find it out. And update. All right, we're going to put some outputs on this thing. We're actually going to, you know what? I don't need the outputs. Yeah, I don't need the output for sure on this one. It's just going to be the input on the other one. I was thinking about putting a boolean on this so that I could actually feed it straight into the crouch button, but I'm just going to put the crouch in here and put a boolean input and then put the same, if not. And then the crouch stuff I'll also have to put in there somewhere so that when you're just standing you can crouch. Alright, so we get the dodge button over here in the variables, dodge button, pull it out, get dodge, and we'll set visibility. If it's true, it's going to be visible. Non-hit testable is whenever it's visible, but you can't actually touch it. It'll actually go through it. And we'll connect that to the return node. Not yet. We won't connect it yet because we're going to do some nested functions. Dodge. Get that plugged in there. And so if that's false, it'll be hidden again. Alright, and then we're actually going to come over here, and for some reason it didn't delete that exit output off my... I keep hitting the exit button and it's not exit. The X button and it's not doing it. Okay, there we go. Got rid of that output. Alright, and then we're going to get the update crouch. And that way, when you're moving, it'll constantly do it. I'll have to find somewhere else to put it, but for now, that'll do it for it. Alright, we're going to open that function real fast. And we're we're going to add an input, and it's going to be a bool, and it's going to be can dodge. Go over here to update dodge, and the return node over there, we'll actually plug the update crouch into there. I can actually just do it on the hidden one, because if you can, well no, because I need to make sure it vanishes, so it needs to do both. But put it in like that, it'll make the dodge appear. If you're moving over a certain speed, go into the crouch, make sure the crouch disappears. If you're under a certain speed, it'll make the dodge disappear and make the crouch appear. So off this little bool, all my stuff just jumping around because it doesn't know how to let go of the mouse button. Okay, off this bool over here that we use to determine that, I'm just going to kind of pull it down so you can see it down here. Just reroute it instead of going straight over there. And then we'll plug it into can dodge. And that is basically the dodge visibility right there. I can now go add that to the end of either one of the movement mode things. I can actually go add it into the ALS base character, and we hit player input graph that I can't see anything on. Get the actual axis movement inputs right here. You can see it's got the player movement input. Probably have to go in here and do a lot of the custom movement stuff like I did here. But for now, we're just going to get this set up as it is. But player movement input, and she's got a custom function here. And we go over here to the end. We scroll down. We found our little variable for our widget that we created earlier, which is somewhere. Base character here. Oh, it's in the other one. That's part of the problem. Because I added it to the other one. That'll be the input stuff. I should be able to do a parent off that one and then add it to the end of it. Because it actually has stuff in the parent and I want to make sure it does the parent stuff. Not character logic. Now we go to her with her broken neck. Oh god. Things I have to fix. That function I don't think is actually overridable. But, and how long have we been going? That's another hour. So we're going to stop right there. And I'm going to do a computer restart and we'll do a part 2 of UI. Exit music. This is my theme song. I know it's not long, but it is my theme song.